It's a really interesting time in youth unemployment, partly because we're just emerging from the pandemic.
Youth unemployment in BC went up in January. Rosie Forth at Drive Youth Employment Services says an enormous increase in living costs is in part what's keeping young workers from taking on certain jobs.
And so I think it's sort of a holding back on perhaps taking jobs that would help in the short term, because a lot of people know that they might not be able to commit to that particular position and that wage, and it simply doesn't cover their living costs.
BC's 10-year labor outlook says around 790,000 jobs will require some kind of post-secondary training, and people with bachelor's or master's degrees will fill the majority of those positions. Youth employment advocates say young people need help getting the jobs that will be in high demand.
When it comes to youth employment, it's not just about preparing youth for workplaces. It's about preparing workplaces for youth. The youth demographic here in Vancouver has recovered worse from the pandemic in comparison to other major cities in Canada.
There is a gap in youth's sort of ability to take certain training to prepare them for those jobs, and I think a lot of that gap is also about affordability. They've always faced this in Vancouver. Costs have always been high, but right now it's really at a peak.
Minister Selena Robinson says a number of programs are in the works to help young people get training.
We have the BC Access Grant. It's the first grant that we've for post-secondary students in like 15, 20 years. So that's available, up to $4,000 available to students. We're creating bite-sized programs, bite-sized micro-credentials for students. So you could stack some micro-credentials while working. It's really about making money while you're going to school.
In Vancouver, Keir Junos, City News.